One Charlie.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I'm full of optimism.
Einstein's theory of relativity.
We're still seeing it quite well through that haze.
T-minus 37 seconds.
The fight is growing confident.
E equals MC.
That all men are created equal.
About the future innovations.
And growing strength in the air.
Tear down this world. Head on. Something's happening coming up on station.
This is Finding Your Frequency with your hosts, Jeff Spinard and Ryan Treasure. It's time to speak up, share your voice, and hear from the thought leaders.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another great episode of Finding Your Frequency. I'm your host today, Ryan Treasure, and thanks for tuning in on the Voice America Radio Network right here on the Variety Channel. You're listening to this. It's 12 o'clock noon Pacific time, 3 o'clock Eastern time on Friday, which is my favorite day of the week because it's Finding Your Frequency Friday, and we get to have another great conversation around, things that really matter. When I'm at home, I'm doing this online schooling with my wife and our daughter, and just got off the phone with her a couple of minutes ago, and my wife was telling me, man, this is tough. I'm working from home. I'm responsible for being what I call the chief education officer of the household, and printing out pages that the teacher sends in real time so the kiddo can have her worksheets, and all of this change in lifestyle really takes a toll on an individual's mentality and their structure and their way of life. And I think it's something that families should really sit down and have a conversation about and talk to each other on some of the different things that are happening in the household. How does the kiddo feel about staring at a computer screen for 6 hours a day? How does mom feel about managing it, and dad still going back and forth to work, which is the case for me? And it definitely puts a stroll on families. And how do you maintain that happiness? How do you maintain, those structures? I know for me specifically, it's been really difficult to really get into a routine. When the kid was going to school, we had this great routine. We're up in the morning, we're doing this, we're getting ready to go. We're out the door at 7:15, and I'm at work by 8 o'clock. And now school starts at 8 o'clock instead of, her being dropped off at 7:15 or 7:30. And it's just really, all of these changes. And then of course I have the mental thing, right? My wife is working more than she was before because it's just too easy to just sit there at your desk and continue working, even though you should really take some time for yourself. And so we're gonna talk about having magical days and trying to live happy every day. We have a great guest, Wendell Miracle, who's got this great book. He's a one-of-a-kind social media influencer who cares more about emotional wellness than popularity or financial gain. And his refreshing outlook on life is grounded in his personal experience with mental illness after losing his mom to breast cancer in 2012 and nearly going bankrupt. So what a tough thing to bounce back from, but that's part of finding your frequency. So Wendell Miracle, welcome to Finding Your Frequency.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I appreciate you being on, taking time to be on Finding Your Frequency. And, I think we can have a great conversation. This book that you've written, Have a Magical Day, The 7 Keys to Living Happy Every Day. I mean, kind of part of my opening monologue, there's so many changes that are happening in the world right now, and people's lives have been disrupted. We have, the pandemic, the COVID-19 situation. We have, a political unrest, which I've never seen in my lifetime living in the United States. And I'm going to be 40 and, never seen anything like this. And it's really something different, something that we've all been trying to work through. I mean, I know that me specifically, it's been tough. And, I think sometimes we got to take a couple of steps back. I told my daughter the other day, I was like, you're going too fast. Slow down and smell the roses, right? And sometimes you got to just take a step back.
Absolutely. 2020 is the year that nobody saw coming. But now that it's here, what do? I believe that, Ryan, that life is 90%, 10% what happens to you, 90% how you respond. And I love what you said about to your daughter stopping and smelling the roses, because we have this thing called destination fever. Like, we'll be happy when we get here or there, but it's not about the destination. It's about the journey.
Yeah, it definitely is about the journey. One of the things that we talk about of Finding a Frequency all the time is, just stepping outside of your comfort zone, keep pushing forward, right? And we're all outside of our comfort zone right now.
Oh yeah, this year, again, like nobody saw it coming. You're probably doing things that you've never done before. I know people who our parents who never would have imagined in their wildest dreams that not only would they be parents this year, but also teachers, you know, and they're Uber drivers, you know, roles that they never, and hats they never thought they would wear.
Yeah, I mean, everything got flipped upside down. It's been, you know, a roller coaster ride with a lot of people losing their jobs, and, you know, like you said, you know, had a corporate career and now you're delivering pizzas or whatever the case may be. I have a friend of mine who that exactly happened to her. She's in the production business for, you know, large concerts and corporate gatherings and venues at ballrooms and such, and does, you know, audio, video, lighting, and all those things for those, and all of that stuff's been completely shut down. And, you know, her multi-million-dollar company who employs over 400 people, you know, are all off doing different things. She's been, you know, like you said, an Uber driver. She's been delivering pizzas, you know, doing anything that she can to keep herself afloat while waiting all the stuff out. And, you know, that stuff really takes a toll on your mentality. And I also see reports coming out about, you know, suicides going up, and, you know, couples having marital problems, and, you know, those domestic abuse things kind of rising as well. And a lot of it is because of this toll that's happened. And, you know, it's really hard to, you know, morph yourself into something positive as you're dealing with something so negative. But I think it's one of paramount importance, especially if you have children. I mean, you know, we've got to set an example for those kids, and, you know, give them a roadmap of how to deal with something like this in the future, because, you know, now that this is something that's happened and we know that it's there, it's something that's probably going to be part of all of our lives for the foregone future.
Absolutely. And I love what you said about setting an example for our kids, because in their lives, they're going to go through tough times too. And they're going to remember how you responded to the global pandemic of 2020. And my heart goes out to all those people, especially the small business owners, the mom and pop shops, you know, who lost their employees, who lost their business, whether it was the pandemic or through the riots and everything. Like, it's just been a crazy year. And I believe that 2020 was the year of the unschedulables. Everyone's schedule was thrown off this year, vacations, their jobs, things like that. And but I still believe, though, Ryan, that there is a silver lining here, and something good can come out of it if you have the right perspective.
Yeah, no, that's 100%. And, you know, one of the things we've been doing at our house that's a little bit different is, you know, we're kind of forced to spend more time with each other as a family. And I think that's been really good. You know, my daughter and I have a really cool relationship right now. She's only 6, so, you know, it's no drama in the house or anything, but just being able to, you know, spend more time. And, you know, my company's not doing any events. Like, Voice America's not doing remote radio shows at, you know, local locations. And, you know, a lot of times that would take me, you know, away from my house in the evening time, you know, maybe once or twice a month. And, you know, all of those things are not happening. And so we're a more tight-knit family doing more things together, even though we're hanging out at home. But it's also, I think, forced everybody to be a bit creative about how they use their time, which I think is awesome, because it is putting people kind of outside their comfort zone and forcing them to be creative in a space that they weren't really necessarily ready for. But, you know, I think human beings as a whole, we're resilient people. We have the ability to pivot, and you just have to, you know, reach deep down and say, I can do this, you know, and keep a positive attitude.
Absolutely. And I love what you just said about, you know, the fact that you're able to spend more time with your family. And one of the things I teach in chapter 1 of my book is starting your day with gratitude and finding things to be grateful for, even in situations that you didn't see coming. I love what you said about spending time with your family. That same happened for me. I never had a great relationship with my father, but this global pandemic, you know, he was in the Philippines during the time, and it really literally forced me to, you know, call him and find out how he's doing. And honestly, like, it was just me checking up on him, but then we ended up having a great relationship. We found common ground. We talked about sports. We talked about, you know, life and health and fitness. So I love it. And the whole creativity aspect, you know, with all the time that we had at home, you know, how else could you have spent it other than finding creative ideas and things to, you know, better yourself from? So I love that.
Yeah. I also think too, we've got to be neighborly and friendly, as much as it's like, oh, you know, wear your mask and social distance and, you know, all that kind of stuff. We got to remember that we're all part of a community. We're all part of, you know, something that's larger than just ourselves. And, you know, take a couple of minutes to wave at the neighbor and, you know, ask them how they're doing. You know, a little bit of love, a little bit of that can go a long way.
Oh yeah, kindness wins, Ryan, and I believe that because everybody is dealing with this differently. There are some people who are having a positive attitude about it. There are some people that are having, maybe a self-pity party about it, or some people that are anxious. The extroverts out there, they're struggling with this. So yes, I believe that kindness wins, and it goes a long way. Just a hello, how are you? That's a beautiful thing.
That's funny that you said the extroverts are going crazy. I'm 100% extrovert, right? I'm a radio guy. I love talking to people. My wife is the complete opposite, and so it's kind of been balancing, just because I'm talking to her yesterday, and she's like, I don't have to talk to anybody other than I have a couple of meetings, once a week, but for the most part, I'm just doing my thing. And so for her, she's actually been able to be more productive because her introverted side has been propped up to a way where she's just like, hey, this is my jam, and I'm commuting back. I'm commuting back and forth to the studio, and I'm in my office every day, and I'm just here by myself. I have our engineering team that's in the other control room, so I see other people. But for 80% of the day, I'm in my own office with my door closed, with no contact with anybody else, and I'm like, all right, and then I'm going in there bugging those guys, trying to talk to them. How are they doing? What are they up to? And trying to get my extrovert on. I feel like a caged animal over here, Wendell.
Oh yeah, and the introverts, this is the year of rejoicing for them. Like they love staying at home. So I feel you there.
Yeah, one of my audio engineers, he's like, "Oh, I've been an introvert my whole life." He's like, "This is the best thing ever." He's like, "I go to the grocery store, people stay away from me because they're social distancing." And he's like, "I love it. Like, you have to stay 6 feet away from me because that's what you're supposed to do." He's like, "I've been trying to do that my whole life."
Exactly. And but I've also learned on the flip side is that even those who are introverts, like regardless of how introverted you are, I've always believed that no matter what, even if you're alone 90% of the day, we all need some form of interaction somehow, So I'm glad we're able to do things like this and, reach out to people. So it's all about finding that balance.
Yeah, 100%. And you hit the nail on the head. It's been rejoicing with the radio show for 2020. It's been a great outlet for, connections with other folks, other thought leaders in different spaces, to have these types of conversations, because I think so often people get so stuck in their day to day and all those things that they don't stop and smell the roses and think about some of the things that are really important to them. I think I was doing an interview with a woman a couple of weeks ago, and one of the things that she said, she's all about Ayurvedic medicine. So this is like Eastern medicine that's 5,000 years old. She was an immigrant from India. Her and her husband, both doctors, have been practicing medicine for over 20 years. And one of the things that she mentioned was having some self-gratification and also being thankful to your partner as you're going through this time. Just even those simple little things can actually cause a great increase in mental health, right? Not necessarily like, oh, I need to go exercise, I need to go eat a certain way, but entering the day with the mentality of I made eggs for my daughter this morning. She's like, "Dad, hey, I love it when you make eggs for me. It's so awesome." She's all happy and excited. She loves scrambled eggs. And last night my wife was making some steaks. We haven't really had beef in a while because it's been expensive. And finally I was just like, go to Sprouts, get like the best fillets that you can find. My wife makes an awesome fillet with a marsala sauce, and so she made those, and I was just like, I am so grateful for this. We haven't had this in a long time, and I think just having a mindset of being grateful for the things that you do have really set yourself up for a day where you could be excited and happy about being positive.
Absolutely. I truly believe that it is impossible to be sad and grateful at the same time. And the first prayer I say in the morning is, I'm grateful that I opened 2 gifts, my eyes. And when you start your day listing things that you're grateful for, it's very difficult to be discouraged. And also 2020 has been the year of the small victories. Like you said, you don't have to go out and work out. You can go take a walk in nature and watch the sunrise and the sunset and appreciate the little things. Like you said about the steaks and the eggs, those things, when you're grateful for them, you really put yourself in a frequency of happiness.
Yeah.
And I believe that gratitude is what leads to joy. And I always tell this to my clients, Ryan, is that you need to practice gratitude. Why? Because we're not naturally grateful people. We are natural born complainers. And there's a stigma in our brains. The great Brene Brown said it. It's called not enough. We always think not enough. When you wake up in the morning, you think, oh shoot, I didn't get enough sleep last night. I'm not making enough money. So we always have this not enough. I'm not doing enough. I'm not enough to the people around me. But when we realize that, we have it all, that's when happiness starts.
Are you having trouble finding hand sanitizer? Well, Spa Treat has you covered. There's no need to go searching high and low. Just visit spatreatofficial.com and place your order on their easy to use website. On schedule delivery. One of the great things about this product, Spa Treat Fulfillment Team is working around the clock to provide people hand sanitizer during this time of need and get your order to you as quickly as possible, even faster than Amazon. Spa Treat also has the lowest price of any of its competitors. Spa Treat has 62% alcohol content, and the FDA recommends between 60 to 80 for maximum protection. This one has 62 because it doesn't dry your hands out. I use this stuff every single day. It is fantastic. It's got certified organic extracts with the ingredients in that hand sanitizer that are the highest quality, and they're designed to leave your hands smelling and feeling fresh while protecting you at the same time. The best part, there's no tricky residue left over. None of that sticky stuff. 4 scents available: unscented, tea tree, lavender, and lemon. And best of all, this product right here is made in the good old United States of America. A lot of companies are having trouble dealing with the current demands, so Spa Treat has dedicated themselves to providing a much needed product in the time of crisis. Spa Treat has better prices, faster shipping, and a larger supply than any of their competition. There isn't even a close second. Visit spatreatofficial.com and enter promo code SPA SPA at checkout to receive 5% off your entire order. That's right. Not only are they offering the lowest price available, but they're also offering our listeners a discount. This promo code is exclusive to Voice America, and only our listeners get this discount. Spa Treat and Voice America came together on this sponsorship in order to provide Americans something they could really need right now: peace of mind. Visit spatreatofficial.com and order yours today. That's spatreatofficial.com, and make sure you use the promo code SPA at checkout to receive 5% off your entire order. Spatreatofficial.com. Get your awesome hand sanitizer. I'm gonna finish my story about dinner last night and some point about being grateful. So when you make steaks, right, and you cook them, and then you set them off to the side when they're done so they can rest, right?
Yes.
And so my wife sets the steaks on the counter as to rest, and we have a dog that's a stumpy-tailed Australian cattle dog. So she's athletic. She can jump. She can get to the counter. And so my wife thinks that the dog is with her when she goes down to her office really quick to go check and see if she's, like I said, she's working more. She's like, okay, I'm done making dinner. The steaks are resting. I'm gonna go check my emails.
Right.
And I was hanging out with our daughter, and the next thing I know, my wife is running downstairs, and she's all upset at the dog because the dog had gotten up on the counter and swiped one of the steaks, and then that dog got caught in the act and ran away. And then we have 4 dogs, and so the other oldest, we have wiener dogs, and so the other older wiener dog ate the entire steak. And it was really funny because I'm looking at the dog and I'm like, this dog's going to need to go out back for a little while. She looks like a tube. She's eating so much, because she's the long wiener dogs. And as much as I was like, oh man, this really sucks that the dog ate one of the steaks, and now the 3 of us are gonna have to split 2 steaks for dinner because that's what's left. I wasn't mad at the dog. I was even grateful. I was like, well, at least the dog got a nice dinner, and it just like you can go one way or the other, and that's the point for that story is, I could have gotten really angry at the dog and been all upset and, been like, oh, dinner's ruined. What are we going to do? I got to order takeout, or, just roll with what life throws at you and try to figure out a way to make it positive, because if you always make a left-hand turn, it's almost like, I feel like muscle memory, right? If you're always making negative connotations, then at some point that can turn toxic.
Exactly. I love that you did that, because here's the thing. Now I've learned that life is about moments, and that right there was a moment that you'll never forget. And it's a great story, and it was an opportunity for you to be sour. It really was. It was an opportunity for you to be bitter, but you didn't let it make you bitter. So that's great on your end that you were able to make that choice. You know what? Let's see the silver lining here, and this is really funny, actually.
Yeah.
And I also have a friend, Ryan. He was just a regular guy, and he doesn't have tons of money. And I was talking to him, and he spilled orange juice on his laptop, and then he had to go get it fixed. And I was like, and he didn't, yell and use profanity. I'm like, are you okay? You just spilled orange juice on your laptop. And his phrase will never leave my mind. He said, oh, ain't nothing but a thing. And I was like, wow, this guy just spilled orange juice on his laptop. I would be so mad, but he literally said, ain't nothing but a thing. So like what happened with you with that steak thing, ain't nothing but a thing, I scratched my car outside, ain't nothing but a thing. Like, where is it going to matter 5 years from now? So let's not let those moments make us mad.
Yeah, no, that's 100%. And yeah, I would have been upset too, man. I'm a tech guy. I would have been like, oh, did I have all my stuff backed up in the cloud? Oh, orange juice. I'm never drinking orange juice again. You're the villain of my life now. No.
Right.
So Wendell, let's shift gears just a little bit. I want to know a little bit about you. Before we were doing the interview, you had mentioned a couple of things about kind of stepping away from a standard job and kind of going and doing your own thing. And, really finding your frequency is all about, people and how they found their frequency in life and in business. And, one of the things that's in our promotional material, it says, summoning the intestinal fortitude to get out there and try to go and to do something new. And I always love to hear those stories of how people found their frequency. So Wendell Miracle, how did you find your frequency in life and in business, and how did you end up where you are, and why do you do what you do?
Absolutely. A great question. And I love answering this. So about a decade ago, after battling breast cancer for over a decade herself, my mother passed away. She was my best friend, and it was the darkest time in my life. And sometimes I try to downplay it because I don't want to talk about it, but no, it was really down for me. And I also, this is funny, I actually was too broke to be bankrupt because you actually have to pay a fee to file bankruptcy. I couldn't even do that. So it was like in the same 90-day span, I lost my mom, and I lost all my life savings because I was so depressed that I spent all my money shopping and indulging in food because that's how I dealt with it. But then one day I realized, if my mom was still alive, she wouldn't want me to be sad or depressed, and that life is too short to live that way. So I studied the principles found in the law of attraction. I studied gratitude, and I studied the lives of those who were successful. So I put them into practice. And in 2013, I started this Instagram page called Hope Nuggets. And the reason why it's called that, Ryan, is because back in 2013, Instagram only gave us 15 seconds to speak on video. Now we have IGTV, you can speak for an hour, but back then we only had 15 seconds. So they were literally nugget-sized motivational videos designed to bring you hope, hence the name Hope Nuggets. And I just kept doing that over and over again. And throughout the years, I've had large celebrities promote my page, and we went from 100 followers to over 400,000. And then not too long ago, I was finally able to quit my 9-to-5 job. I worked for corporate America for over a decade. I was in banking, I was a personal banker and a business banker. And, to be able to leave that and get to my frequency now, I've also started, a lifelong dream of mine to be a model and actor. So I hired an agent to get me some gigs. So I'm just really excited. I'm grateful. But if I didn't go through those down moments, I wouldn't appreciate where I am. I wouldn't appreciate the frequency I'm on now if I didn't go through the low frequency moments. So that's kind of where I am now.
No, and that's fantastic. I mean, I think when you live life, it's like when, I talk to entrepreneurs all the time, and, they'll tell me, I did 15 different things that failed before I finally got something that worked. And, having those downtimes for those entrepreneurs and those 14 failures in one thing that worked, it took those 14 failures for them to get the one thing to work. They had all these, things that they learned about why something didn't work the way that it was supposed to. And, being able to take all of those things and put them into play for your 15th item, and then bam, you hit a home run in your business, and things really start to take off. But the point of understanding, being low, like, how can you truly be happy if you don't understand what the other side of that is? And I can totally ride the same skateboard as you. I was 15 years old when my father passed away from cancer, and so that was tough on me. I didn't have any money because I was 15 years old, but I went in another direction. I started hanging out with the wrong people and making bad choices, and I basically just didn't want to be at home. If you can imagine a 15-year-old, I started, I had a slight substance abuse problem, and it was like, I woke up one day and I was like, I can't do this anymore. And that's when I made the decision that, I'm going to go into the Navy. My father was in the Army, in the 101st Airborne, and he was a Green Beret. And I felt, what better way to honor my father and also, change my mindset. I'm like, I'm going to the Navy. And so I did what I could to graduate high school as early as I could and left to go to the Navy when I was 17 years old. And, it was those experiences and that decision and me being at the low that makes me understand right now where I'm at today in radio, which I had no idea I was going to be doing radio and when I left to go to the Navy. It was those lows of my life where I know now like what the true joy really means, and I'm looking at your page right now and it's, pray instead of stressing. The Lord himself will get you through the toughest days of the week. And I mean, whether you're religious and whatever God that you pray to, even just putting it out there, like you say, the law of attraction, putting out that you feel like, your faith in humanity will guide you through, or I think is very important. Your storms are temporary, but the blessings are forever, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I love your story too, because like you said, who would have thought that you'd be in radio after being in the Navy? Life has a way of, shifting us, and we have to do our job to pivot and just go with it, because like you never know where you're going to be. Like 2020, we didn't think we'd be here, but here we are now. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to respond? And I believe that when you change the way that you look at things, the things that you look at, they change. That's by Wayne Dyer. And it's just a beautiful thing to be able to, appreciate what you have because of what you went through. And like, even when it comes to health, you won't appreciate true health unless you were sick yourself. You won't appreciate the abundance unless you went through poverty. For the single people listening to this, you won't appreciate your husband or wife unless you go through those seasons where you were alone and you couldn't even get a date, So it's like all the seasons serve a purpose in our lives.
Yeah, no, they definitely do. And, that's one of the things I think that, young people don't really quite understand. And something I struggle with is just being kind of I'm not older, but I guess I'm middle-aged now. I'm going to be 40.
You're a young man.
I speak to 20-year-olds all the time and young people. And, it's like, I feel like, was I that way too when I was 20 years old? Like I thought that I knew everything, and then having conversations with people who have lived, 20, 30 years longer than me, like, the things that they've gone through, all of those things. That's why I love sitting down and having conversations, with my mom, which I'm sure, now that you're rekindling that relationship with your dad, there's probably some stuff that, he can talk to you about, just life things that have happened that, you can learn from. And, I implore everybody who's listening to the show, if you have a grandma, a grandpa, a mom, a dad, whatever the case may be, a mentor, listen to what they have to say. Listen to, some of the struggles that they've been through. When I talked to my grandmother, and she went through the Great Depression, right? Wow. And so when you talk about, the Great Depression, she's in her 90s, and the things that happened in the Great Depression, and you compare that to some of the things that are happening now, this is actually from a job loss and revenue loss, like 10 times worse than that.
Right. 100%.
And so if you put it into perspective, but you know what? We have teachers out there. We have mentors, and listening to my grandmother tell me stories about, them, in rural Idaho, not having anything to eat other than potatoes and rice and whatever they could scrounge up because, the farming wasn't doing what it was supposed to do and food was scarce. And it's like, we might have lost, 25 million jobs in the United States, but I can still go to the grocery store and I can still get food, right? Something that people didn't have the opportunity to do in the Great Depression, that even though we're going through this crazy thing called COVID-19, we can still do that. And so I think there's a bunch of positive, and use your word, positive nuggets, that we can extract from other people in our life. And I think that helps to foster an environment of love and also, reconnection with your family, but, also getting the opportunity to, move the knowledge base from the older generation to the newer generation so we can carry on that torch and carry on those lessons and those things to our kids.
I love that. I love it. I'm going to reiterate what you said. If there is somebody out there in your life that's older, that knows more than you, definitely get their perspective on things. I believe that every successful person, Ryan, has two different types of people in their life. You need a mentor. You need somebody who knows more than you, who's been there, who's smarter than you, who's wiser than you, because then you don't feel like you know everything. There's always something more to learn. And you also need a cheerleader, somebody who's going to encourage you when you're down. So sometimes you find that in one person, sometimes you find that in several people, but you should have that, you should have people backing you up in your corner. I love what you said about you hanging out with the wrong crowd. And I'm sure that taught you that, you know what, you need to be around people who will lift you up and not tear you down, who won't be envious of you. And when you have those people in your life, you can't go anywhere else but up.
Hey everybody, I wanted to tell you about this great shaving product that I've been using lately. Not only is it awesome, it will save you money. Enough to buy 26 cups of coffee in New York City or 3 deep dish pizza dinners in Chicago. Harry's is an awesome product. It delivers high-quality razor blades as low as $2 each, a fraction of the price of leading brands, and saving you hundreds of dollars at the same time. I really like the way that Harry's works. It has a very close shave, it's got a great design for the handle, and also the scent of the shave gel is fantastic and it leaves your skin nice and smooth. You can get a trial set delivered to your doorstep by going to harrys.com/frequency. Quality, durable blades at a fair price, just $2 a blade. They've cut out middlemen manufacturing blades in their German blade factory that's been honing precision blades for a century. I'm telling you, I use this product and it is absolutely amazing. Harry's has all your grooming needs covered in just one stop. You can get blades, hair care, shower products, all on harrys.com. And just like their blades, Harry is committed to providing premium products without breaking the bank. Again, visit harrys.com/frequency. I want to make sure that everybody gets the chance to go check it out. You can feel better too about the purchase because 1% of their proceeds are set aside for nonprofit organizations developed to helping provide access to better mental health care for men and veterans. How could you not get behind the veterans? So important nowadays. Listeners of the show can redeem their Harry's trial set at harrys.com/frequency. You'll get a weighted ergonomic handle for a firm grip, 5-blade razor with a lubricating strip and a trimmer blade. I use it every day. Rich lathering shave gel with aloe to keep your skin hydrated. And I'm telling you, when you get done shaving, your face will feel so smooth, it's amazing. You even get a travel blade cover to keep your razors dry and easy to grab on the go. So make sure you go to harrys.com/frequency to start shaving and saving today. One of the things I love that you touched on is, it's, who you hang out with. And a lot of times you hear all these gurus and, coaches and all this saying, you're a product of who you hang out with. But let me give you an example, Wendell, right? So when I grew up in an area of Phoenix called Maryvale that in the 1980s, Maryvale per capita had a worse crime rate than Los Angeles. Right. So there was a time in my growing up where I lived in an environment that was as hostile as Los Angeles with gang activity and, all this crazy stuff that happens. And, when you grow up in that space, it's really easy to go off in a wrong direction. And so, who you hang out with is important. But I also want to implore people, don't forget where you came from. I have some friends that that I alienated when I was younger, going through some different things that I've reconnected with. And even though that, we're not on the same, we don't live in the same area anymore. They may have their own things going on, but being able to, remember where you came from and don't alienate the people that were you're still your friends, but just make sure that you stay away from the toxic people who are not there to, provide a one-to-one in a relationship, right? It's got to always be a one-to-one in a relationship. You got to give, you got to take. It's got to go both ways or it doesn't work. But, just because you have a friend who's not in the same space as you or in the same business as you or making more money than you, that doesn't mean alienate them, because those people still have value in your life, and it's always important. So when the gurus always tell you you got to hang out with people that are not toxic, people that are successful and all that, yeah, you do, but don't forget about who you are and where you came from, and don't strand those people, because those are important too.
Absolutely. I love that, because just because you want to be a millionaire doesn't mean you hang out with just millionaires. You still need people who were there for you in your childhood when you had nothing. I still remember the people who let me borrow money when I couldn't afford the dollar menu at McDonald's. I'll never let go of those people in my life. And like you said, they keep you grounded, they keep you humble. And you should remove the people that are only taking from you, because yes, like you said, it's give and take. So if there are people in your life that only take and never give, you can definitely get rid of those people. But the people that were there for you, from the beginning, when you had a humble beginning, when you didn't think you were going to make it, and are still there for you now, even if they're not as successful as you, definitely want to keep those people around.
Yeah, 100%. I love hanging out with my neighbor. He's a construction worker and I'm a radio guy, like two completely opposite human beings, right? But we both have families. His son and my daughter, they love playing video games together. My daughter, she's 6, and she just recently, in the last month, she became a PC gamer, right? In the pandemic. Dad, I want to play these games. I want to learn how to make them. And I'm like, you're 6, really? She's like, yeah, I looked up these videos on YouTube about this game called Roblox, and then there's another one called Minecraft, and you can build all of these things and make your own this, that, and the other. And I was like, well, you literally went online, you did research. Now you're pitching me right on, hey, this is the stuff that I want. And I was like, wow, this is really cool that she did this on her own. And, her other friend plays the game, so she's asking questions. And, so we have this really cool relationship with our neighbors, and it's been great. And, he comes from Maryvale as well. I'm a little bit older than him, but having some of those same experiences, even though he's not a millionaire or, anything like that. I mean, it's still great to hang out, and it keeps you grounded, and I get to learn cool stuff about big machinery, like those big giant dump trucks, and and he's always telling me about those things. He brings me pictures of tires that are taller than me on some of these machines, which I think is fascinating. As an audio engineer by trade, I like to know how things work, and so having those other people around you in life are always important to keep them up. So one thing that's kind of a pressing question as I'm kind of thinking about where do we go here in the interview. You had a regular job after you went through the grief of your mom and all that stuff and started having a regular job. What made you decide to walk away from the security of a regular job and go become, because basically you're an entrepreneur, right? You walked the plank of life, and you took a leap of faith. Tell us about that, and how did you maintain your sanity in that space?
Oh, great question. First of all, for those who are thinking about doing that, don't quit your day job just yet. I always tell people that, because I'm going to go into the speech right now, but I want to make sure that you don't do anything stupid and call your boss and put your 2 weeks in. So that's a full disclaimer right there. So it wasn't an overnight process. It took about 5 or 6 years before it happened. So while I was working for corporate America and banking, being a personal banker and business banker, I was doing Hope Nuggets on the side, doing these videos. I was getting speaking engagements and gigs. So I was putting in probably about an extra 20 hours a week for my side hustle while doing the corporate job. So that's kind of how you have to do it. And it's very scary to let go of the security, the benefits, the things like that. But the reason why I wanted to do it, first of all, was because I wanted that freedom. It wasn't even just about the money. It was just the freedom to be able to, wake up when I want, not have to respond to anybody, not to report to anybody. So it took some time. I had to build it while still working for the corporate job. So, and I always tell people that, if you want to get to the next level in your life, be grateful and content with what you have now and give it your absolute best. Because if you half-heartedly do things where you are now, you won't be promoted to that next level in your life. So even while doing Hope Nuggets on the side, I was still giving my best on my current job. And then while I was doing that, just doors started to open for me. The Instagram started to grow. I released the book earlier this year. Got a lot of clients that I coached and everything. So got return clients, retainer clients, things like that. So it was just, honestly, it was a hustle. It was a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, blood, sweat, tears. So you have to give it your all in both. But at the same time, you got to make wise financial decisions. You got to hire the right people. You have to be around people, like I said earlier, who know more than you. So I surrounded myself with business and marketing experts. So it was a process. And when it finally got to the point where I was able to leave and let go, I appreciate it so much because of what it took to get here. So I encourage those who are looking to be entrepreneurs and to do their own thing. Yes, it's going to be scary. It's going to be tough. It's going to give you anxiety, keep you up at night, but your desire, your focus, your intensity has to be greater than those fears.
Fear. That's the optimal word, fear. I tell my daughter, she'll say, Dad, can I do this? And a lot of times, when it's like, can I, I'm like, well, yeah, are you able to? Are you asking for permission, or are you asking if you know how to do this, right? And a lot of times I'll answer with, don't let anything but fear stop you. And I say that to my employees too. He's like, I don't know if I can do this editing thing, or I don't know if I can do this. I said, don't let nothing but fear stop you from trying. You know, and I think that's an important thing. You've got to, you know, get out there and try. You're going to stumble. I do this all the time. I've been taking karate. I used to do martial arts back when I was in the Navy and, you know, all that stuff. And I stopped for over 10 years, you know, had a family, got married, you know, all that kind of stuff, and kind of stopped doing the karate. And then when we had our daughter, you know, she started doing karate a year ago, and this pandemic thing started, and I'm like, you know what? I should be doing karate too. You know, I should get back into that. And and you know what? I'm still struggling with, you know, getting a routine and, you know, making sure I hold myself accountable for practicing and doing all those things, because if you want to attain something, you have to get through it. One of my favorite quotes is by the current coach of the Phoenix Suns. And he told his players that everything they want is on the other side of hard.
Ooh, love it.
You know, and so if you don't go through the hard things, or you don't push or get yourself through those things, you'll never get to what you want, which is on the other side of hard. It was the most compelling quote. I was just like, oh man, you know, it was a great one.
Yeah, I love that. And the Phoenix Suns actually were the only team in the NBA bubble that went undefeated. So I know those words strung true in the players' hearts and minds.
And you know, Monty Williams, who's the coach of that too, his story is amazing. I mean, he lost his wife and was a single father, and you know, he hadn't enough money. He could have quit basketball and just, you know, been a dad, but bounced back. And you know, his story is amazing as well, talking about finding your frequency. And yeah, they did go undefeated. I was so upset that they didn't make it to the playoffs, man. I've been a Suns fan my whole life, and it's been like 10 years since we've had a team that was, you know, really awesome, that you could say that they were doing a good job. And I'm like watching that team, and I'm like, man, these guys are gonna make it to the playoffs, and then they didn't.
Yes, but they definitely built the foundation, so you have a lot to be excited about next year for sure.
So you're a basketball fan?
Oh, I'm a huge basketball fan, and I live here in San Diego, so like I grew up in New Jersey actually, so I was a Nets fan, but now I actually, my favorite player is Kawhi Leonard. So I follow wherever he goes. Right now I'm rooting for the Clippers.
Yeah, no, Kawhi was awesome at Toronto, man. What a spectacle he put on when they won the championship.
He delivered a country something they never thought they'd achieve, and it's crazy because Toronto is a hockey town. So for him to bring a basketball championship there, he's a legend for the rest of his life over there. Yeah, no,
100%. We have a radio show host who does a show on the Variety Channel who lives in Toronto, and he's a hockey fan. And when they won the championship, and I had a conversation with him a couple days later, and I was like, I bet you're a basketball fan now, aren't you? And he's like, oh yeah.
And you know what's crazy, right? He's so legendary that obviously they tried to get him to stay, but because of what he did and the fact that he left, you can't get mad at him. You can't, even though he left, because he delivered something that no one has ever delivered to your town.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for in Phoenix, for the Phoenix Suns to deliver us a championship. The team's, I don't know, almost 60 years old. It was one of the original NBA franchise teams, and it still has not won a championship.
One of my favorite players of all time is Steve Nash, and in 2007, when he got hip checked by Robert Horry, they should have won it that year. So definitely something that it's look forward to.
That was the same year that Raja Bell tried to attack the guy from the Lakers.
Yes. Those are some good teams. The fact that they didn't win just shocks me to this day.
He straight assaulted Kobe Bryant on the court. It was pretty crazy to watch.
He did.
So Wendell, where do you go from here? I mean, you've got this Hope Nuggets Instagram thing that's really taken off. You know, I implore everybody to go check it out at Hope Nuggets on Instagram. It's got a lot of great stuff on there. You know, you have the book that came out, and you know, you have all your coaching clients, and you know, in everybody's mind, you would say, "Hey, Wendell is successful," but you know, once you get that entrepreneurial fever, it doesn't go away. So where do you go from here?
Absolutely. I love that you said that, because you should never, I believe in being content and being grateful for what you have, but at the same time, always striving to get more. So with that being said, you know, I'm working on my second book already. Can't wait to release that. It's going to be about manifesting your desires. Have a Magical Day right now is about being happy every day. It's about, you know, appreciating the little things in life and overcoming anxiety and depression. But I'm working on a book now that's specific step by step on how to accomplish that ultimate dream, whether you want to be an entrepreneur, an actor, a singer, a writer. You know, I want to lay down those steps. I'm actually breaking down the law of attraction there, but in practical ways.
All right, Wendell, I want to be Joe Rogan. How do you get me there?
Okay, absolutely. So there's a 3-step process, and they teach this in The Secret. They tell you that you have to imagine it, you have to visualize it, and then you have to believe that you already have it, and then you take action towards it. But what I'm doing in the next book I'm writing is step-by-step things to actually do that. So anybody can get there and anybody can talk about it, but I'm talking about how to get there from a practical standpoint.
You guys have to check out this new service that I'm playing around with called Issue. It is totally amazing. You live to create, but you don't live to worry over the last nitpicky details involved in putting final touches on contact. You got to do what you do best and let Issue handle the rest. If you're a creative, you know the drill. You're finally done editing. It's perfect. Now you just need format and reformat for every single platform. With Issue, make it once, and it's ready to post everywhere. Seriously, Issue is the all-in-one platform to create and distribute beautiful digital publications, from brochures to magazines and sales collateral. It's perfect for creators, marketers, designers, educators, publishers, salespeople, or just anyone that wants to make eye-catching content that can be distributed on multiple platforms. Issue makes it really simple. Just upload the PDFs and files, and Issue transforms them using your vision and customizable templates to create the content you want. With Issue, you just create it one time and distribute it everywhere. Everything is optimized to post on your website, social platforms like Instagram and Facebook. They can even help you make animated Instagram stories. And the best part about it, it is free. FREE free. That's right, it's free to get started with Issue. So go to issue.info/frequency to sign up for your free account. That's ISSUU.info/frequency to sign up and let them know that you heard about it from this show, Finding Your Frequency. Remember, that's .info, not .com, .info. So go to ISSUU.info/frequency and get your free account today. When you bring up the book, The Secret, and, there's so many different people that have contributed to that book. It's definitely an amazing book, and it's been something that has helped a lot of people's lives for sure. I was in the accounting office the other day because the printer wasn't working, and I help around the office with IT because I go in there and I'm like, oh, what's going on with this thing? And I look at the accountant's desk, and she's got a check there, like a fake check, but it's written out to her for $5 million. Yep. Right. And I'm like, oh, I love it. She's putting it out there to the world, what she wants.
Yeah. The Secret teaches you that, teaches you about vision boards, the blank checks, things like that. True story. I just wanted to share this to those listening. Back in 2013, I had a job at the bank. It was a specific job. And then I took my business card. I scratched out the job title that I currently had. I wrote the job title that I wanted. And every day I would look at it, visualize it, feel the emotions of already having it. And within 6 months, I had that new job that I wrote on that business card. So I encourage people, to have a vision board, do that blank check thing. It really works if you really believe it with all your heart.
Well, and I think if you believe it with all your heart, and you also put in the effort, right? Because you got to get on the other side of hard.
Correct. Exactly. Oh yeah. Throughout the process, it wasn't easy. It wasn't like an overnight magical thing. It was magical because I went through the difficult times. And then when I got it, I appreciated it so much. Yeah.
Well, I think when you put those little mementos out, like the check, right? It's a reminder to you on a daily basis of where you're trying to go and what you need to do to accomplish that. And, it's like, I guess similar to the old school, like tie a string around your finger so you don't forget something, right? A constant reminder of where you're trying to go so you can remember to stay on your path to get there.
Exactly. People ask me, oh, the business card or the vision board, is that what got you there? No, it wasn't the vision board or the business card. It was the fact that I believed it and worked towards it. The business card and the vision board is just a prop to remind you. So it's really up to you.
Just because you have a map doesn't mean you're going to get where you're going. You have to actually follow the trail on the map, put in the work, put in the miles in order to get where you need to go, right? It's like you're going to go on a hike and you're like, all right, I see it's a 4.5 mile hike. Well, if you don't actually travel the 4.5 miles and walk the hike, you won't get to whatever that amazing, spectacular scene or vista or whatever it is, rock formations at the end of the 4 mile hike. I live in Arizona, so like all of these crazy hikes that turn into petroglyphs and old Native American ruins and these kind of things that are really awesome. Like if you think about that's the prize and you keep your eye on that 4 miles is easier to do when you know where you're going rather than just wandering a trail with no goal, right?
Exactly. If you have a vision and a dream but you don't have a plan to get there, it's just a wish, and a wish that won't come true unless you put action behind it.
Wow, well said, well said. So, Wendell, where can people find you? I know you have the At Hope Nuggets. Let's talk about your website. People can buy the book on Amazon.
Yeah, so you can go to hopenuggets.com, check out everything that we're doing there. You can follow us on Instagram at Hope Nuggets to get daily content. And yes, the book is on Amazon and barnesandnoble.com.
One of the things that I think is awesome too is in your book, it says readers of the Have a Magical Day, they credit you as creating this as a masterpiece for helping them to remain calm during turbulent political and economic times. And so I would implore everybody to go check out the book because we are in some turbulent times. I mean, and to be honest, like I said, I'm about to be 40. I've lived on this earth almost 40 years, and I've never seen anything like this ever in my life. It's important that we all stay grounded and stay the course. So, Wendell, thanks for being on Finding Your Frequency. I really appreciate you taking the time to be on the show. Everybody go check out the book. Go to hopenuggets.com. And, of course, go follow the Hope Nuggets at Hope Nuggets on the Instagram and get your daily dose of Wendell Miracle. Wendell, thanks for being on, man.
Thank you so much for having me. Pleasure is mine.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're tuned in to Finding Your Frequency Radio right here on Voice America. We can hear us every week at noon Pacific time on the Variety Channel. Of course, once that show airs live, it's everywhere on demand. I appreciate you guys listening. If you're listening to the show and you're listening to it on your favorite podcatcher, whatever that is, be it Apple Podcast or Spotify, please give us a great review. Rate us 5 stars instead of 4 because I think we deserve it. We're over here putting in some great work trying to give you guys some awesome insights into how people work and some different things that you could put into practice in your life to make things a little easier for yourself and really increase that happiness. Think about those hope nuggets on a daily basis. Wendell, thanks again for joining us. I'm Ryan Treasure right here on Finding Your Frequency. Stay tuned. Next week we'll have another fantastic show right here on the Voice America Talk Radio Network.